East Coast Horror Group.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
East Coast Horror Group presents Dead Hard Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations. You're listening to East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight we will present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and on future select Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can join our live chat at the time by clicking on the live shows link at EastCoastHorrorGroup.com. And I see we already have some folks joining us. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, coming to you from the east coast of Lake Michigan, and it's my honor to introduce the Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. So, wrong one. There we go. So, starting with Danielle Page. She's an actress and now director with a Buck Short Productions. A Buck Short Productions is 100% uncut underground horror coming straight from the new vein of terror, Atlanta, Georgia. Danielle's had her first on-screen role as Mary Jane in a multinational Spider-Man fan film shortly after an obsession was sparked for being in front of the camera. She has done professional modeling shoots as well as a collection of musical theater shows. Danielle is an actress and now a director with Buck Short. She is... What's your latest that you're working on, Danielle?
Fun fact, I'm actually about to move to LA to start pitching a horror comedy film idea called Blood Brothers.
Wow, fantastic. You heard it here first, or second, or third. I don't know how much you've been promoting it yet. But
none so far. It'll be my first feature, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Fantastic.
Good luck.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Yes, exactly. And you have to keep us up to date as this continues to develop. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Don't forget us when you're famous.
What?
So don't forget us when you're rich and famous.
Yeah. Of course not. I'll still be on whenever you guys will have me.
Fantastic. That's what we like to hear. And next, I'm going to introduce our gingerific co-host that prefers to go by the name Little Baby Drew Face, Poos Seidler. It's Drew. How you doing there, Drew?
Hi, Tim. I almost forgot how awful that was. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And next we have the man they call the face of Jason, a sincere zombie apologist. It's the man of two voices. He's Coach Michael Exler, the Dean of Students. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, Tim.
Hey,
Nobody
Mike.
ever asked, how are you?
Oh,
how is Tim Kretschmann?
You know, I have something important to announce to the group. Are you ready for this? I have finally watched all of the Friday the 13th movies. And
very well done.
I watched the documentary, what is it, Camp Crystal Lake Memories, or Crystal Lake Memories? The 6 hours of that movie. I watched the entire thing. And
documentary?
It's 6 hours 30 minutes or 6 hours 40 minutes, something like that. It's long. And I have to say, I did discover one movie I really enjoyed out of the bunch, and I'm not a slasher guy, so I kind of went in going, I don't know if I'm gonna like any of these, but I did like Jason. Well, what is it? Friday the 13th 6. Jason Lives? Is that Jason Lives or something? That one I enjoyed. That was the one where he's almost like Frankenstein and Horseshack gets killed. That one I really enjoyed. The others, you know, I'd take them and leave them, but that was really a lot of fun, so I might actually revisit that one. But you didn't come to hear that. You want some fresh movie reviews, and that's what we have here. So, Mike, why don't you tell us, what have you been watching?
All right. So Tim usually sends an email to or a message to our chat saying that he needs a movie right away because he does stuff, and I understand he needs the information. So I really quickly picked a film off of On Demand, and I believe it was on HBO, and it was simply because of the cover. So sort of like the old VHS used to get you. It's called Knock Knock 2. It's from 2011.
Okay.
So there's nobody in here that is really famous that I've ever heard of, so I won't go into that detail.
Okay.
Basically, this is a found footage film of people in their early 20s that are in LA that decide to go on like a famous Hollywood murder and celebrity haunted houses tour of themselves. They go to the area where the Shannon Tate murders happen, Charlie Manson, all that kind of stuff, the Black Dahlia, they do all that kind of stuff.
Sounds like a great time.
What's that?
Sounds like just a fantastic time.
Doesn't
That's
Trent
right.
Reznor own that place?
What?
Pretty sure Trent Reznor owns the Tate Mansion.
I think he does. I thought I heard it. It is somebody famous. That sounds right.
Well, the house that they were killed in doesn't exist anymore.
Actually, we're gonna put our crack team.
I'm gonna have to fact check you on that one.
Yeah, we're gonna have our crack team of chat room experts searching on that. Ben, if you could take
Sounds
care
like
of that.
fake news.
Yeah.
Could be fake news, but I thought I heard that somewhere. But they'll tell me if I'm wrong. I've heard it all the time, so I'm fine with it. I was wrong about watching this movie, so I don't mind shaky cam. I don't mind found footage films. I'm actually kind of a fan of them. A lot of people aren't, but this one, it was just like, man, you have to find a balance between shaky cam and I'm gonna throw up everywhere. They did not find that balance.
There is a balance. You're right.
Yeah. So it was jarring. It just took me right out of the film. Actually, I found myself looking away rather than looking at the vomit machine. But the tour led them to a house known as 1666, and they give a backstory on this house. And
that's little on the nose, isn't it? 1666. That's a little on the nose. Yeah. All right.
It is. So they have been missing ever since they went into that house, and the footage was found, and they decided to air it for everyone to see. I don't know why.
Have you ever wondered why the people that are finding this footage all the time don't just look a little bit harder and find the people too? They're constantly finding films which are much smaller than human beings, right?
They are.
So, I mean, just look a little harder. Oh.
They're in the ghost dimension now. I have no idea where they're at. They don't get into that detail. So
West Virginia.
It's possible.
West Virginia. What have you got against West Virginia, Drew?
Bunch of inbreds.
We're from Pittsburgh. It's in our blood to hate West Virginia.
I'm from us too.
So yeah, that was the film. Any questions? Anybody curious about this?
Why is it called Knock Knock? Like, is it about Knock Knock jokes? Is it?
Knock Knock 2, it's called. There was a Knock Knock 1, because there's like 15 Knock Knock movies that I had to go through to try to find it. In fact, I had sent the wrong trailer over to Mike, say, hey, is this the movie? Because that trailer looked a lot better than this one.
Are they the same series?
Knock Knock was a movie, not the one with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
There's another movie by the name of Knock Knock, and I actually watched the trailer for that, and I was like, no fucking way am I watching that after I watched Knock Knock 2. And I guess the house 1666 is the house in the first one, is what I'm gathering.
Wow.
So I think that's the tie-in, is those two.
Because there's a movie called Don't Knock Twice, which I probably mixed up with this one.
Drew, seriously, type knock into IMDb and it'll blow you away how many frickin' movies there are out there.
You know what? I'm not looking to get blown away right now, okay? Jesus.
Maybe later.
I couldn't believe it when I was looking for this thing. I'm like, what the hell? How many people are naming their movie the same thing? Don't you want to differentiate yourself?
Maybe not, okay? Don't fucking judge. You're so judgy. Fuck.
Don't you start with me.
Aren't we supposed to judge on this show?
I think that is
no,
actually what we do.
Okay?
And it is about that time. So, let me get everything set up here. That's always fun.
Mike, you didn't get nearly as mad about this as you should have.
Well, he'll get mad later because he'll think of stuff he wants to yell about it. So tell us the big high A rating that you have for this. What are you rating it at?
It's an F. It's garbage. Nonsense. Ever.
Really? You went full F on this?
Yep. There's nothing good about it. Nothing.
Wow. That is harsh sauce on that one. All right. So if people want to see Knock Knock 2, you can check your streaming service and then check your mind at the door.
And then jump down an elevator shaft.
That's right.
Yeah, there we go.
Or, hold on. I've got it. I got it right here. Hold on. I got it. Let's see. Here it is.
If you watch this, you need to fucking pull your eyeballs out with a spoon and kill yourself.
Okay.
Rolling down a baby down a little tiny well.
Yeah. I know everybody loves those.
It's
a blast from the past. Okay, well, it's time now to go to our next class, and that's with Danielle. She is going to be reviewing what movie?
DeepStar Six. This is one that I just found on Amazon Prime. I think it was 2 nights ago, and I was like, I read what it was about. I was like, I know it's so late, but I really want to review that before watching it. And to anyone who's not ever heard of it, the synopsis sounds absolutely ridiculous. It's about a naval research team stationed on the bottom of the ocean, and they end up blowing up. What?
Sea Lab. So cartoon.
Yeah, it's a Sea Lab.
Hey, it is a lot like them.
Hmm?
It's a lot like that. In fact, this movie came out almost, I think it was the same summer as the movie Leviathan, which had almost the same plot. And it was underwater, too.
That's what everyone said, too. After reading the synopsis, I went through all the reviews, and everyone's like, Leviathan is so much better. This doesn't hold up. It's a fun film, but, like, not good. And I was like, okay, I mean, it advertised itself as a giant crustacean attacking the Sea Lab.
Right.
So, that reels you in automatically.
Yes.
But
this one is directed by Sean S. Cunningham, who created the Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah. Yep. So I did not go into it with high expectations, but I was actually blown away. I loved it, and it petrified me. After watching it, I walked out in my living room where all my roommates were, and I was like, guys, I know it's ridiculous, but I'm scared of giant crustaceans.
What kind of crustaceans are we talking about? Were we talking about shrimp, lobsters, what?
It shows the monster a little too much, and I still couldn't tell you what type of crustacean it is.
I do like that you actually said the sentence, I'm frightened of giant crustaceans. That's not a sentence I expected to hear when starting the show tonight.
It is. It scared me, and I know it's ridiculous, but it did. And the gore was on point. Like, people said that it was like didn't hold up. I think that the effects definitely held up as much as they can from a movie from 89.
Right.
But
I'm sure they were practical. I think they were all practical effects at that point. It wasn't like, the problem that I have these days is when you're watching like Sci-Fi Channel, and they spent like $10 and got a Fisher-Price computer to do their, usually shark effect, and it takes you completely out of it that it's a cartoon. Even when the worst practical effect will look better than a bad CGI because you know that there's some physical something flipping around there, and it could go out of control and hurt somebody by falling over on them.
The physics of practical effects also greatly, they help a film a lot.
Yeah.
Because as much control as you can have over like CGI and stuff like that, the physics still isn't there the same way, I don't feel like.
Yeah.
Good point.
What?
That was a good point.
Yep. Absolutely. Well,
yeah, so I really enjoyed it. The gnarliest death scene in it was this guy was going through decompression, or he didn't decompress.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so he's going up and he gets the bends and his veins start popping like out. His eyeballs and nose start bleeding. It's insane. I think it's awesome.
I think they had a similar scene actually in
Total Recall.
Well, yeah, and a James Bond movie had something like that once, where a guy was in the decompression. It was the Timothy Dalton one. It was either Living Daylights or License to Kill. I think it was Living Daylights, and a dude got killed that way. It was awesome.
Well, we should get killed that way.
It should happen more often. You know what's interesting is they made those two movies at the same time, which were like deep water monster movies. And the next one I can think of that's a monster and not a shark is like Deep Rising with Treat Williams. And that was and that wasn't deep. They were on the surface. But it was a monster from the deep.
What about The Abyss?
89 isn't necessarily new age, but I'm all for creature features. I'm all for us just keeping them in rotation, not often enough to where it loses its novelty, but often enough to keep us interested.
Now, you mentioned The Abyss. Do you consider that a horror movie, Mike? Or a monster movie?
I don't know.
I don't know what I consider The Abyss. There are things I like with that movie, and there's so much I just didn't connect with me. But
it's been a long time since I've seen it. I was just throwing out movies that were underwater.
Okay. Well, I know DeepStar Six. I actually here I show off how old I am. I saw this in the theater, and I don't think I've seen it since then. And Leviathan, I remember watching a lot on video cassette. And I don't know why. I don't think I owned it. I think I just kept taking it out. Or it must have been on HBO or something a lot. But I remember enjoying DeepStar 6, but not being over the moon with it. And that was kind of where I was with Leviathan, too. It's like, it's a good, solid flick. I
just want to put this out there. Yeah. For those of our audience who speak English, the movie he's speaking about is Leviathan.
Yeah, Leviathan. Leviathan.
I wasn't gonna correct.
You sound like it's like
no,
fucking
it's Leviathan.
Like Jerry Lewis fundraiser is what you're fucking saying.
What are you talking about?
This is Leviathan 2018. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, it's Leviathan.
Everybody in the universe knows it is Leviathan.
It's pronounced Leviathan.
You mispronounce it to piss me off, I think is what you do.
Why would I do that now, Drew? I have never done anything like that before.
So much anger.
He does. I don't understand all this irritation that he always has for me.
Fuck you.
It
Go
bothers
drink,
me.
please.
For those of you who speak English, it's irritation.
Thank you, Danielle.
Oh shit. So I saw that Miguel Ferrer's in here, and I think BJ and the Bear, what's his name? Greg Evigan is in this. Who else?
You mean Grieg?
Grieg Evigan. And and I think, wasn't Nia Peoples in this thing too?
Yes.
My memory serves?
Reba McEntire.
I don't think she was in it. I don't think that. I remember this being fun. I think Leviathan, though.
Fuck you.
I think it had Daniel Stern and Peter Weller in that one. But I can't
We'll go with
remember
that.
all of it perfectly. But I remember this one being gorier than Leviathan.
This one was super gory. Like, after watching it, I didn't necessarily understand the reviews. Again, maybe that's because everyone was like, it doesn't hold up. It's a fun film, though. It was definitely fun, but I was also petrified.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Being trapped at the bottom of the ocean, I recently found out, is like one of my worst fears.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Yeah, like I would explore space quicker than I would explore the bottom of
Oh,
the ocean.
for sure. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Fuck that shit down there.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, this, like I said, it's super gory. Some of the deaths are very mediocre, very, oh, she's in the water, blood puddle.
Yeah, right. Right.
But yeah, some of them are so gnarly too.
Yeah, and they do, I mean, both of the movies that I keep referencing here, both of them are really kind of alien movies. You know, it's a lot
Right.
like Alien, because aren't they like mining or something, and that's why they're down there? So they're like working class scientists, and then all of a sudden, you know, all hell breaks loose and they get all crabby.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. And they don't know what it is either. It's just this giant, some sort of crustacean that I can't tell you what it is either. But so it is very alien-esque.
Yeah,
It'd be funny if it was a big oyster.
No, it says in the chat room, our crack research staff, he said it's a crabster, a crab-lobster hybrid.
It also kind of had the eye face of a shrimp. I don't know. It was weird.
Wow.
I mean, if they say crabster, that's what I'll go with.
I you know,
Don't go with anything named Crabster.
and never agree with the chat room. We all know this. But it should throw like butter sauce at it, right? I mean, that thing's got to
Sounds
be
like
tasty.
it tastes delicious.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting here thinking.
Before they showed the monster at all, because everyone was like, it's just so fun, I actually imagined like a giant snail for some reason. So I was prepping myself for a completely different movie.
I should not tell you guys this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. When
Oh, God.
I was like 6 years old, something like that, I used to have a recurring nightmare of crabs biting my toes.
Well, it's because you had crabs.
Yes, obviously I was very sexually promiscuous at 6 years of age.
Right. I mean,
but
not intentionally.
I had this bizarre nightmare. It kept coming back and coming back. The other one was that I was being bathed in public with coffee, hot coffee. Just bizarre shit. I was very glad when I got sleep apnea and never dreamed again. It was fantastic. Because
There was a coffee drinking crabster under your bed.
There very well may be.
That motherfucker was wired.
Pitching all night long.
I know, right?
Oh, fantastic.
Chain smoking cigarettes underneath your bed.
Well, at least it came out of its shell. All right, so
Oh,
it's
Christ.
time now. It is time now for your grading of the movie. So I'm not quite sure how you're going to grade this thing. I know you liked it, but to what degree? I am on pins and needles. What are you going to grade this film?
I would grade it a B+.
B+. See, that's pretty darn solid. That's a solid
it's a really
grade.
enjoyable film, whether you get out of it what I got out of it or not. I think it's super enjoyable for anyone who would watch it. For different reasons.
You know, and a B+, this movie is absolutely free everywhere you look.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised I find it on YouTube later when I'm doing the show notes. I mean, it is everywhere. So this is a real good, you know, just turn on the Roku and have some fun type of flick.
No one owns a Roku.
I'll watch it again.
A Roku, coo, coo, coo? The Roku.
God damn it.
I just thought of that, and you know what, Drew? That's going to happen a lot. I'm just telling you up front. Little baby Drew face Poo Seidler. I'm telling you, you're going to hear a lot of Roku.
I'm leaving.
So I just wanted to say before the next review starts
Yes.
that the house that Sharon Tate was killed in was demolished in 1994.
Oh, really?
Trent Reznor did own it up till 1992.
So we were both right.
Yes. He sold it to some dude who then decided to knock it down to build a bigger place.
Wow.
Reznor left because he said there's too much history there, and he met Sharon Tate's sister, and
You
his
didn't know that we bought the fucking place?
Yeah, he did, and he bought it because he's interested in American folklore, and then he met Sharon Tate's sister, and she asked him just straight out, "Did you buy this house to exploit my sister's death?" And he was like, "No." He said his quote was, "Fuck Charlie Manson. I don't want to be looked at as the guy who supports serial killer bullshit." So he sold the place.
Good for
But
him.
yeah, that 10050 Cilio Drive. It's gone.
Well, and isn't Tarantino is making a movie on the Charles Manson murderers? I think I know there's been casting. I don't know if they're shooting yet, but they're working on it right now.
Whenever Quentin calls in, he'll let us know.
Okay, I'll be
I,
watching the chat. He's probably in chat as well. Oh,
I just know that Tom Hanks is in Pittsburgh filming Mr. Rogers, so
he
I look
is.
for him every day. I quit my job and just sit on the streets of Pittsburgh.
What?
Tom Hanks is Mr. Rogers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yes.
filming.
Oh. He's
But
also the Antichrist.
in this version, Mr. Rogers is a serial killer.
Ah.
Just so you know.
That's just the true story.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is the Antichrist. Everyone loves him.
It's true.
All right, everybody, here we go. It is time now for little baby Drew face Poo Seidler. What have you been watching?
Well, Tim, thanks for asking. I
You're
watched
welcome.
a little film called A Dark Song. Found this movie while I was researching another occult film that I loved, that you also loved, Tim, called Hereditary.
Oh, fuck. Don't start that shit again.
And they recommended this. If you were a fan of Hereditary, they said go ahead and check this out. So,
A Dark Song. And this is
Yeah.
what? About the au revoir of Barry Manilow?
yes.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yep. It's just people singing in a black room. That's all it is.
She being haunted by Barry Manilow?
Yes, it's Barry Manilow's ghost.
Very nice.
And it's just singing Mandy over and over.
Yeah, then that's it. I'll go ahead and give it a grade. No.
Okay, let's go to the grade. Oh,
No, a woman is trying to summon, now they're not trying to summon like Belial or some sort of dark spirits or the devil. They're trying to summon her guardian angel, and they do it in kind of a strange way. A lot of the movie is just her going through these tribulations of how the summoning takes place exactly, and the person that's helping her isn't your typical person that you would think of. It isn't a priest, isn't a holy person. It's really just kind of a nobody, kind of like somebody you would think of as like an anonymous member, kind of like just like sits at home on a computer and researches the stuff. Like he
okay.
smokes. You can't really tell if he's being honest, if he's just a charlatan trying to fuck her over for money,
Okay.
or exactly what it is. But they do a good job setting up that this is a real thing, and that it's difficult to do, and it requires, a lot of perseverance and a lot of dedication to actually get done.
Maximum effort.
Yes,
Okay.
and the things that the woman has to go through to summon this spirit is, she has to not sleep for several days at a time, not eat for several days at a time, abstain from sex. At one point, the guy finds out that she lied to him. So in order for it to go the way it was planned, like the plan B is that she now has to drink a pint of his blood, and that was a stomach churning event. And the way that the character development goes between them, there's a lot of suspense. I think it's well written in that regard. If you don't know exactly if either of their motives are pure exactly, you find out that her son was abducted and murdered in a black magic ritual, and that's why she wants to summon this spirit, is so that she can take revenge on the people who killed her son.
Okay.
Aliens?
No, not alien.
Oh.
Magic takes your kid
So
one
did
time.
he-
Might as well do it again, right?
Did they
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
call the wrong number when they were calling out for the guardian angel, and they just, sometimes I get a wrong number every so often.
Well, I mean, and that's one of the things that they stress during the ceremonies, is that if you don't do it the right way, you're going to bring something into this world that you're not supposed to fucking bring in, and that's why.
Do that.
It's what's that?
I bet they definitely didn't do that.
Well, strangely enough, certain events happen that lead to our friend. Spoiler alert! Our friend.
Oh, wait, I got one. It's here somewhere. Hold on. There we go. Spoiler alert is on.
We'll just say he wasn't able to continue with the ceremony, so she's left to complete it herself. It's not such a good idea, obviously. She doesn't really know what she's doing, and then it kind of veers off path. It was great, 10 out of 10, A+ movie until that character is no longer with us, and then it kind of takes a weird turn where she tries to leave the house, but she's walking for days, and she's like, "Oh, finally, I found another house," and it's the same fucking house. So it's like this weird alternate reality, and then she's being chased around by these spirits where she has to stay in light or they'll get her. And then finally, she finds this angel that she was looking for, and it's a pretty cool scene. It comes down, and it's very much like gold flakes are covering everything, and this big bright light is there, and the angel, like 6 times as big as a human is, and speaks in this very crazy deep voice that you can't really understand, just like you would think. And the scene and the setup and the character and then the effects of it are super cool, but everything is leading you down a path of this isn't going to end well, and then they just kind of flip the script on you at the end, so it kind of takes you out of the element, in my opinion. But overall, a good experience.
All right. Are you ready to grade?
Sure.
That kind of sounded like an end, so I had to jump in there. Okay, Drew. What is your grade for A Dark Song Blue?
Well, that's not the name of the movie.
It isn't? Song Blue.
It gets a B.
It gets a B as in blue.
Yes, as in blue.
Fantastic.
What did you give Hereditary?
Hereditary is an A+. Hereditary is the movie of 2018 for sure. Best movie of 2018.
Jesus, you are just so wrong.
I have to watch it now, I guess.
It is absolutely perfect.
You go right ahead. I won't be going down that rabbit hole again. All
I
right.
wish I could put you in a rabbit hole and fucking bury you down there.
You say the sweetest things, little baby Drew face, Poo Seidler. All right.
Rabbit hole you and fucking bury your damn ass alive.
You so rue the day I came up with that name. All right.
Did you watch Hereditary?
No, I've not seen it yet. I've heard that I
Save
need to,
yourself.
though.
Save yourself.
You have to watch it and come back on just so we can tell him what a fucking idiot he is.
Oh, it's terrible.
Okay, got it.
Terrible. Bring a pillow because you're going to be taking a nap. All right.
Bring a pillow so you can smother Tim's fucking face with it.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, I'm getting to my movie, which I am extremely ambivalent about. The movie I am going to be reviewing was 2018's The Meg. It came out last month, actually.
It's actually by Seth MacFarlane, starring Mila Kunis as Meg from Family Guy.
No, but very close. Very close to the same idea. And here, this movie is now the biggest box office shark movie of all time.
No way.
It has
Beat
surpassed.
Jaws.
It has surpassed Jaws. It has surpassed every shark movie ever made. The international numbers on this thing are redonkulous, as they say. It's something like 350 million international and 150 in the U.S. or something like that. It's crazy how much money this thing has made. Now, as I know I've told Drew and Mike this, but I have read the book, being a true shark fan, and I'm actually I know the book agent of the author, and I was really looking forward to this movie, and it's been like in production hell for 15 years or something like that. It was optioned almost immediately, and it's just been sitting there. Different directors have taken whacks at it. Famously, Eli Roth was going to be doing a very, very
thank God that never
R-rated.
Right?
I don't think anybody that's read the book, I don't think that would have been a good call, because the book.
Because he can't direct his way out of a paper bag.
Well, that's part of
Hack.
it. The other part of it
That's
is
him.
the book that this is based on almost appears to have been written by two people, because there's a deep sci-fi aspect, and then there's the action adventure. And calling this a horror movie, I don't know. The book is also, I don't know that it's a horror book. I've read horror books, and I find it very difficult to be frightened by books that I read. But it doesn't have that aspect. It's more of an action adventure type of book, with, a really badass villain, The movie, I'm glad Eli Roth didn't do it, because I think that would have been far too, just going for blood and guts, and it wouldn't have been fun at all. The movie, though, doesn't feel like it knows what it wants to be, where the trailer catches it perfectly what it should have been. The movie seems to veer too far into being serious for a movie about a 100-foot-long shark. I mean, it's just preposterous idea. They should have had more fun with it.
It's not at all a preposterous idea. It's actually based on an actual creature.
It's
called the
preposterous.
Megalodon.
It's
That
preposterous.
may or may not
That's it.
still exist. We don't know.
All right.
It hangs out with Bigfoot and leprechauns and the Loch Ness Monster.
Right, exactly. But
And the crabster.
Yes, the crabster of all. That's
yes, the
crabster,
crabster.
the Meg.
That
2019
actually, that's this movie is going to get a sequel. You can't make $500 million on a $150 million budget and not get a
Is
sequel.
it going to be in the Godzilla series of movies now?
I
King
don't.
of the Monsters, the Meg, and Godzilla and Mothra.
Yeah, well, that movie's coming out pretty soon too.
Yeah.
So who knows? I can tell you, I read the first book and the fourth book. I think it was the fourth book.
What?
They catch
Wait,
the
book
Meg.
about a big shark.
I can tell you exactly why. I read the fourth book first because there was a deal on Nook and it was like free, and I went, okay, I'll grab it. And I read the book and I really enjoyed it, so I went back and read the first book, which I think is a better book. But the fourth book is interesting because they catch the giant megalodon and they put it in an aquarium in Dubai. And it's kind
Fucking
of...
desert. What are you talking about?
What?
Dubai's the middle of the desert.
I know, but they have an aquarium in this movie. Like, they just spent a crap ton. They got a ski hill in Dubai too, and but
Fucking oil money.
it's an interesting story. See, part of what was cool about the book was some of the tech that they had, and they had to do it different for this movie, but they did some cool things in the movie as well, because, you know, you're down so far, you're not going to be able to have big windows, right? So what they did is they have video screens on the inside of the sub, and they have tons of little cameras on the outside, so he can kind of see him maneuver around. That was kind of cool, you know, and it very much has a deep sea feel to the beginning part of the movie until, you know, the shark surfaces. I will say one of my issues is because this thing is 100% CGI and they never practicaled anything with it, you don't really feel menaced by the thing. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm being attacked by a cartoon. I wish they would have had some big robot that, you know, somebody built that would at least slammed its mouth shut. Because if you ever see, I know it's a weird reference, but Free Willy 3 or 2, I can't remember, but one of those movies, they didn't have an actual whale in the entire movie. They just made fake animatronics, and nobody knew until, of course, the making of came out. And I think they could make a huge animatronic that would be scary as hell. I think they have the technology today. So I was a little the effects just didn't quite work enough. And I saw this movie on the biggest screen in Milwaukee. I went and I paid opening night. I went to the biggest screen I could find, Dolby Surround. We had the heated seats, and I'm like, I am gonna get myself good and scared. I really want to see this in full scare mode. And I came out. It was a fun movie. It's not that long. It's not one of these movies that goes on for 3 hours. They decided we're gonna have fun and we're gonna get out of it, and that I really appreciated. But I didn't get super scared. It wasn't as frightening as I had expected and or hoped. Now, did any of you guys see Meg?
I've not seen it yet. I'm a big fan of the book, though, so I am curious how it holds up against the book.
Did you read all of them, or the first one, or
just the first one?
Okay. Do you get what I'm saying about where it almost seems like there's two authors at times?
Absolutely. Half of it feels like it's being logged through a journal as well. I mean, I think all of it is logged through a journal, right?
It's weird. It says, okay, now it's sci-fi time. I'm going to tell you all about this environment. And it's almost written like a textbook. And then it's action, 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 action. And
right.
And it, you know, and the dialogue is very cinematic. You know, you feel like they could have wrote the script just by transcribing the dialogue that's in the book. So it's interesting. Now they give you a lot of characters, which is good because you do wonder. I had read the book about a year ago, and I couldn't remember who lived and who died, and they changed enough of the characters that I didn't know who was going to go. So that was cool. And another thing that was really neat, the shark doesn't absolutely eat every single victim in the movie. There are some people that drown. There's people that are just kind of crushed because they're so far down under the water. I mean, there's a little bit of variety. It isn't just, okay, toss another human into the shark's mouth. That doesn't happen over and over. And I will say, Rainn Williams just about steals, or not Williams, Wilson, right? Rainn Wilson. He's
Dwight from The Office.
Yes, Dwight from The Office. This guy steals the movie. He and Jason Statham definitely know that they're in a fun shark movie. Some of the other actors are taking it so serious that you're kind of like, you do realize this is just a popcorn have fun flick. And to a certain extent, you almost need that to kind of counterbalance it. but it doesn't seem to fit right. Now, one thing that the movie's getting a lot of criticism for, and it's getting criticism because a lot of people totally got this wrong and thought this movie was going to make like $20 million and go away. It's been the surprise hit of the summer. So, of course, a lot of people are criticizing it and saying, well, they had misleading trailers, and they set the second half of the movie in China just to get the China money and all this stuff. Well, read the book. There's a lot of it that Chinese and Japanese and Asian culture is all over this thing, because the love interest is of Asian descent. That is in the book. So, you know, criticizing it in that way doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It was also set right off the coast of Japan, right? Because
Right.
that's where Mariana's Trench is anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I feel like to change that cultural aspect would change a lot as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why now I think in the original book, like the bloodbath occurs like in LA or on the Pacific coast, but that would have been completely impossible to film anyway, because there's about, I don't know, 10 ships being capsized by the shark. And I mean, the amount of destruction. I remember I was reading it and knew the movie was being made, and I'm reading the book and I'm like, well, they're not going to shoot this. This would be impossible, because it was just bedlam for about 100 pages of bedlam at the end of that book. But I thought it was a fun movie. I think it got there are portions of it where I went, they did this perfect, and there are portions of the movie where I go, it just isn't quite as satisfying as I wish it would have been. But I think it's time. I ran out of things to say about it. It's time to give it a grade. Clicking a bunch of things, and to be completely fair, I'm going to give it a B. Does it upset me that this movie made more money than my beloved Jaws? Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Sure.
There's no way this movie should have made more money than Jaws. But also, a lot of years have intervened in between. I don't think this movie is going to be confused with a classic like Jaws. I don't think that's going to happen. But if you're going out and you want to see a good shark movie that's fun, this is the movie. Not Sharknado. You know, Sharknado is just, it wants to be bad. I don't like movies that want to be bad. That movie does. That's not how you should go into a film. You should try to make the best movie you can, and if you don't quite make it, okay, but at least you gave it a shot. I recently, just to make sure, I knew I was going to be mentioning Sharknado at some point during this, I decided to watch Sharknado 3, which I saw the first and the second one, and I'm like, okay, let's try to watch another one of these. I was right. I mean, my assessment of that series remains the same. It wants to be bad. I mean, that movie had so much product placement. It was almost impossible for me to watch. This movie doesn't have that. It attempts to make the best movie it can. I think it catches its tone incorrectly and not exactly what they were shooting for. But it's a good little time waster, and I think you could have a lot worse times in the movie theater this year. There certainly have been a share of real stinkers out there, so give it a try. I think it's a good time. Okay, so we are at the close of the show.
What did Ruby Rose do in the movie?
Ruby Rose. Oh, she is. Was she like? She's like the computer hacker type character,
Oh,
and
makes sense.
she comes off pretty good, and I definitely think. I mean, spoiler or not, she's one of those characters you would like to see return. You would like to see her come back. Actually, they got rid of some of the characters that I would have liked them to have kept that they got rid of. And I'm like, okay, they got room though to put new victims into the movie. So that was kind of neat. Okay, now it's time to do that shameless plugging thing that we do at the end of our shows. So let's go to the website, and Danielle, why don't you tell us about your website?
So this is a Buckshort Productions. It is a independent production company that I helped co-found back in 2015. We are in the very, very early stages of our fourth feature.
Wow.
I have begun directing some shorts under a Buckshort. I've been producing and acting for a long time with us, and now I'm starting to hard hit on the directing. Like I said earlier, I'm about to go into directing my first feature, so that's exciting.
Fantastic. Now, people go to Buckshort Productions. They want to buy one film. They're not sure if they're going to grab all three. Which one is a good gateway drug for them to get acquainted with Buckshort Productions?
I think Frankenthug is a really fun film. It's good for what it is in the independent horror scene.
Okay.
And it's a nice little crossover because we're from not the best part of town, and I don't know, you don't necessarily see independent horror hood movies. So
Okay.
it's a nice little combo.
Fantastic. Yeah, the last time a horror movie was in the hood, wasn't it Leprechaun or something? In the hood? Which one
That would be
was
cool.
it?
Yeah. What'd you say?
Leprechaun in the hood.
Yep.
What about it?
Then he went back to the hood.
Yes.
He did go back to the.
He returned. All right,
What
Mike.
was the Eddie Murphy vampire? Vampire in Brooklyn? Is that what it was?
That's
Brooklyn,
Vampire in
yeah.
Brooklyn. Yeah. And that was made by Wes Craven, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I that always surprises me. I don't know why, but it always surprises me. So, Mike, what's going on the website? Got a lot of content out there right now.
Yeah, we're releasing a panel a week or so. Adam's continuing with his articles and different things like that, so go check that out. And then there's always the you can just search what you're looking for, and we probably have done a panel on it, and check it out.
Kidding. Yeah, there's a ton of panels out here. Of course, you can also check out the YouTube.
Yeah, check out YouTube, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. But we were talking about Sharknado. If you want to watch a panel that I did with the 2 stars of Sharknado, it's on there, and they're cocksuckers. So you should watch it.
Ian? Ian Zierling?
No, it's not Ian. It's Ian.
Oh, fuck.
Ian.
He was mad. He was mad as hell.
He was, dude. Don't forget that if your name's spelled like everybody else, just pronounce it differently.
Yep.
That's what I always do. And I don't feel I get credit for that.
Tara Reid was a walking skeleton. Scary.
You know, I saw her in Chicago, I thought, and I remember walking up behind her, and I was like, ooh, what happened? Did somebody steal her sandwich? You know, I was like, what's going on? I thought a stiff breeze.
Body positive, guys. Body positive.
I know. She looked physically unwell. She looked physically unwell. I felt sorry for her. All right. What else have we got to push there, Mike?
You can find our T-shirts on.
Oh, yes.
That's got some shirts.
Oh, hold on. I got to press the button. There it is.
It makes a great 9/11 present.
Oh, my God.
I was just looking for one of those. Perfect.
See? If you were looking for that special someone to commemorate the falling of 2 towers, buy them an East Coast Horror Group T-shirt.
Really? Really? That's where we're going. Okay. All
There's
right.
towers on there.
Hey, do we
It's been 17 years. We can't make 9/11 jokes.
Mike, what's happening with that other show you had once upon a time?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. Can't tell you.
We'll have to talk to Rich if he ever comes on the show again and find out what he's up to. All right. Fantastic. I want to thank everybody.
Just wanted to say real quick.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a fun experience for, we talked a lot about deep water horror today. There's a video game called Soma that I highly recommend.
Oh yeah, well you know all about Good Times, Drew.
Book me.
What platform is it on?
I played it on PC, but I believe that it's Xbox One and PS4 as well.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Okay. So check that out. And again, thank you everybody that came out live and participated in the chat room. We kept a bunch of people for the whole show. That's fantastic. Thank you everybody. And we haven't kept the same ending every time. So let's use this one. So until next month, yeah, I don't want to do that. So until next month, the East Coast Horror Group suggests sleeping with the light on. And whatever you do, don't run, you puss sissy.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know. I just wrote it one time.
East Coast Horror Group.
You know you love that.
And I mean that's actually.
This is the end part where people click on different videos to see more that we have on our channel. So click on one of those
On the
videos.
one with me with my shirt off.
No, nobody wants to click on that. I'm sure I'll put Danielle's interview on Scream at the Screen will be something that we put out there, so people should click on that.
I don't scream well.
You don't stream well, or you don't scream well?
I don't scream well in that interview.
You weren't feeling the best, so as I recall.
A little like yodeling.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks everybody for tuning in, and have a great evening.